Hello, today's topic of discussion is charitable organizations, and specifically how to properly donate to a worthy cause. And today's cause that we are kind of referring to is support of Ukraine. Everyone who's not been living under a rock in taiga, and had any access to the world news is already aware of the humanitarian crisis that's happening in Ukraine. Many of our friends and clients have already donated to the cause, including our firm as well. And for all of those who has donated to support Ukrainians in their fight for freedom, we thank you for being kind and generous human beings. But we still get a lot of questions from clients and friends about how to properly donate and how to tell a legitimate charity from a fake charity. The problem is that whenever there is a good cause to donate to charity, a lot of times fraudsters jump in as well, and they try to come off as charitable organizations and collect donations to just benefit themselves rather than the cause. So we'll start out talking about that, and then we'll discuss what is actually tax-deductible donation versus not tax-deductible donation. So as far as charitable organizations, one way to tell if a charitable organization is legitimate versus being fake, for example, is charitable organizations in US, they have to be registered with the IRS, and they have to receive an approval to be what's called a 501c3 charitable entity. That allows those charitable organizations to receive donations, and then those donations can then be tax deductible for the donors. And IRS does have a database where taxpayers or anyone can go in and do a search on a charitable organization. And in order to deduct the donation on one's taxes in US charitable organizations there have to be on that list, and they're typically called qualified charitable organizations or 501c3. So whenever you see that in the description of the charity, that's a good sign that they're most likely legitimate and are registered with the IRS. So one way to check on it, you can go directly to the IRS website. The address you would go to is https://app.irs.gov/app/EOS/. EOS stands for Exempt Organization Search. Or another easy way, you can just go into Google search and you can search for charity IRS lookup. And the first item that will pop up will be tax exempt organization search. You just click on that and then click on tax exempt organization search tool, and then click one more time on the blue button, and it will take you right there. And in here you can select either to search by their tax ID. Legitimate charities, they have no problem sharing their tax ID so that they can be searched just specifically for that. Or you can just enter organization name. For example, let's say we're looking for a charity that's claiming to support Ukrainian cause. So let's just put like Ukraine, for example, and let's do a quick search. And typically, if they're registered, you will be able to find them in the listing in here, be able to see their name. You will be able to click and look at their Form 990. The thing is, if it's a qualified charity, it will be on the list if it's a US charity, and you most likely will be able to see their Form 990. Why is Form 990 a good idea to look at is because charitable organizations are required to report how they actually spend the donations. So if you're not sure which charity to donate to, and you really want to make sure that your money, your donations goes to the right cause, or say, most of the cents for each dollar that you donate goes to the right cause, you can actually look at their organization's Form 990 and see, because it shows exactly how much of their donations goes to specific cause versus some of the money going to pay the staff or pay for other administrative expenses, right? So if an organization, say, spending, one charity is spending 80 cents on a dollar to support themselves, and only 20 cents actually goes to the actual cause, versus the other organization that spends maybe 30 cents on administrative needs, right? And then 70 cents on each dollar goes to the cause, then it might sway your decision from, between the two charitable organizations. The other two websites that I wanted to share with you, one is called GuideStar. It's guidestar.org website. You can also search charitable organizations in here as well. And it works similar to the IRS search engine, right? Except it provides some additional information like a brief description, shows how many assets, how many donations they've received, right? Things like that. But sites like this, they might actually ask you to register, and typically they're free to register. And then you'll be able to also search for registrations, search for Forms 990 and so on. And the third site I want to share is called charitynavigator.org. Similarly, in here you can just type in a name or a tax ID of an organization that you're looking for, and then you'll be able to see that they are actually registered as 501c3 organization. Where they're located, you can donate directly from this website as well, and then you can also see the details, and they do some sort of a rating as well. So this is not a universal rating, this is just another charity trying to organize information about other charities, and typically they might ask you to sign in as well, so you can kind of do your search and save your results as well. So these are the basic tools that anyone can use to go and research a specific charity that they're donating to. Now I also want to talk about fraudsters. Typically you should never rush to donate to any charity, right? Especially if you're being called on the phone, and then a lot of times they will use, the fraudsters will use high pressure tactics. So they'll try to explain the urgency, and they'll say, oh, you have to donate right now on the phone, or like, give us your payment information. So typically I would say exercise caution, right? So if the cause is really important to that charity, they will be fine with you going to their website and donating there, right? Because then you'll have the time to research them and so on. So never typically donate via the phone. Always look for an option to donate on their official website, because you can research the website. Also, when you go to the website, typically you want to see that the website has protection. Website address starts with HTTPS. S stands for secure, because most secure websites will typically have that, but that does not indicate that it's a legitimate charity still, right? You should still use research tools and go in and research whether they're a registered charity or not. And then the third item, making payments, right? So typically you want to refrain from making bank wires, making payments with your debit card, making payments with cash, right? So whenever possible, always use your credit card, because it's a more secure way of donating. Because depending on the charity, you don't want to always give them all of your information. If you want to donate, you might want to donate, but then a lot of people don't want to be bugged with other newsletters, because sometimes charities will take the information of the donors, they'll give it to another charity, and so on and so on. So those are the things to keep in mind. Just be careful and do your research, do your due diligence. Lastly, I want to talk about tax-deductible donations versus non-tax deductible donations. So typically when you're dealing with a registered qualified charity, right, that has an approval under 501c3 regulation, those donations, when you're donating in cash, will typically be deductible to the taxpayers who itemize their deductions. For folks who do not itemize, who typically take standard deductions on their tax returns, currently cash charitable donations can be limited to $300 per taxpayer. But for those who do itemize, they may be able to deduct right now anyway, as of the end of 2001, right? So most taxpayers will be able to deduct up to 100% of their charitable cash donations, right? So up to 100% of their taxable income. So those are the things that you should keep in mind, right? If your goal is to also be able to take the tax deduction for your charitable donation, definitely talk to your CPA, to your tax professional about that, and plan ahead as well. But also I want to talk about non-deductible charitable donations, right? So obviously you have to still be careful that you're not donating to fraudulent charities or donation solicitors. But then if the cause is important, and similarly the cause of supporting Ukrainians is important, you may not always have an opportunity to donate to the charity that is registered, right? Because a lot of different organizations and just individuals, they are putting together plans to send some sort of support to Ukraine, to support Ukrainians who are struggling, to support the refugees. So one prime example would be, if you're not always able to send supports directly to Ukraine, consider finding charities in the neighboring countries, because countries like Poland and Hungary have taken a lot of refugees, and there are a lot of charities on the ground there who are working directly to support those refugees. So those are legitimate charities. Definitely do your research, of course, but you may be able to donate to those charities. But keep in mind that US tax charitable donation deduction is limited only to the US registered charities. But charities in Poland and Hungary, for example, they might do real work helping the refugees, but they're not necessarily US charities. So if you donate to those, you will be donating to the cause, for example, but may not necessarily be able to deduct it on your taxes. But again, sometimes it's not always about tax deductions, right? So again, it's about supporting the right cause, supporting the people of Ukraine. So again, if you have any questions on this, I urge you to talk to your CPAs, right? If you have questions related to tax, obviously feel free to reach out to perpetualcpa.com as well. So we look forward to working with our clients and friends. And if you have any questions, let us know. Thank you.